Eleanor, finally!
Finally, my apologies. The kids just started their school holidays today. And normally when they're on school holidays, their grandma looks after them in the afternoon. But grandma went to get her nails done. Anyway, they're at grandma's house now.
Okay, I don't know how you set your time because you are a mom, you are a coach, you have your businesses, I suppose, I guess, and you're a wife. You make all those things. I don't know how you manage your time. I don't have anything else that take care of me, and sometimes it's complicated.
Yeah, it is complicated for sure. But for me, this is why I like routines. So everything, like I have a routine that works, right? I wake up in the morning, I play with my kids all morning, and then they go for a nap. And that's when I work on my businesses. And then I get them up, I get them dressed, and I get them to school. And then usually I have the afternoon to go to the gym, and I spend time with my husband at the gym. Then I come home, work a little bit more. Then I get them from school, and then we do dinner, and then I work usually a little bit in the evening, or just hang out with my husband in the evening. And then I try as well in the morning and the afternoon to put aside some time to like do nothing, feel my feelings, follow my intuition. But yeah, like it's difficult to squeeze it all in. And sometimes, usually the first thing to go, like if I don't have time, the first thing to go is doing nothing. And I get really stressed out if I don't have time to do nothing.
But I guess that's the most difficult thing you have to do because I think you are very like you have to be active all the time. I have that impression from you.
Yeah, it's hard for me to sit and do nothing, but I also really enjoy it when I do. You know, like I love to meditate. I meditate every day, and sometimes I can sit and do nothing for like 2 or 3 hours. You know, if I'm doing it at night, then I'll sit there for 2 or 3 hours doing nothing. But I don't watch TV. I don't go on social media. I don't really read very much anymore. I cut all of that out so that I could fit everything else in.
Okay, so you keep your energy to do what it's more important.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah, I kept the important things.
which that is judgment also, right?
Yeah, of course. But for me, like making sure I spend time with the kids every day, like that's a priority. And when I have time with my intuition and I ask my intuition what to do, my intuition often gives me ideas to do with my kids, you know? So it was like my intuition will show me to do painting with them, do drawing with them, make crafts with them, do cooking with them, take them out for a walk. Like we were just at the playground just now, you know? So I can kind of combine following my intuition with looking after my kids as well.
Okay, Eleanor. Well, let me introduce myself. I don't know you. This is the first time, but I was so excited about meeting you because you post many things that I was very surprised or very. I was thinking, how can she do this or make these decisions because she has children. She is going to travel very far away, and probably her family is not doesn't agree with her, but she's
No.
doing this anyway. And sometimes I was like, oh my goodness, Eleanor is going to I have to learn from her many things. Eleanor, where are you from and why are you in Brazil?
Good question. So I am English and I lived in England until I was 26. Then I made an intuitive decision to quit my job, I just bought a property. So I rented out my property. I sold all my belongings. I sold my car and I left with a backpack, not knowing where I was going, but just knowing that I wasn't coming home again.
No way.
So I left and I didn't save any money for the trip because it was quite last minute. So I didn't have any money until about 2 weeks before. My grandfather had unfortunately passed away and my father had already passed away some years back. So when my grandfather passed away, I got some inheritance money and it was the exact amount that I needed for my trip. Awesome. Exact amount. So I left and I traveled around Asia and then I traveled around Australia and New Zealand.
Wait.
And I had a friend.
Around Asia. What does it
Yeah.
Where did you go and where did you stay?
Oh, it was amazing. So I started in Thailand. I then went to Cambodia first. Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, back to Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore.
Backpacking? Or
Backpacking, yeah, by myself.
my goodness, you alone?
Yeah, just me.
How many days did you stay approximately in each country?
A few weeks. I was in Thailand for the longest because I just loved Thailand. So I was there for a few months. The other countries, a couple of weeks each. Singapore was just 4 days, I think.
And
Yeah.
how did you get the money to go forward? Because you didn't have.
Well, I had the inheritance money, which lasted until I got to Australia.
Okay.
So it paid for everything in Asia. And then when I got to Australia, so I had no money when I got there. I did a little bit of work. I did some topless waitressing, which the money was good. I got a little bit of cash from that. And then I got a job. Then I got a job in finance. So my background is in finance. So I got a job for a couple of months and then I ran out of money again and I happened to meet a guy. So I went and moved in with him and then he paid for everything for the next 6 months. For the next 2 months. And then I got a good job in finance, a well-paying job in finance. And then he lost his job. So then I paid for everything for a while. And then we opened. Yeah. So then I decided to stay. When I got the good job, I had the boyfriend. And
Can I ask
yeah.
Can I ask you which was the job you got?
So my experience is in finance. I work in pensions. You know when you put your money away for retirement. So I worked in that, and I liked it because I only work 1 week of a month, basically. So it's busy for 1 week of the month, and then for 3 weeks it's quiet. And so I would spend my time working on projects, my own projects. So I studied, I did a financial qualification. So I have my CFA. I did that all at work while I was quiet. And then I opened a cafe. So my partner and he really wanted a cafe. So he worked in the cafe and I did everything else. So I did the finance, the marketing, the legal, the tax, the HR. I did everything. At my office job, I was running the cafe. Yeah. So I was a little bit cheeky. My boss got pretty annoyed with me by the end because he knew I wasn't really working.
Okay, and how long did you do that?
So we had the cafe for 2 years. And then I left my finance job and we opened a fine dining restaurant and another cafe.
Oh, okay.
So for the next 3 years, I was running the three places, the 3 restaurants, 2 cafes, 1 restaurant. Yeah. And that was cool. It was a good experience, but it was very hard work. It was 100-hour weeks. And it wasn't my passion. So every day it was getting up like, I don't want to do this, you know? Yeah, but it was very successful. We were making a lot of money. Like I would just wear designer clothes. We would go on really expensive trips, stay in really fancy hotels. I bought a Porsche. I just one day went to the shop and bought a Porsche without even thinking about it. Like I had a lot of money, but I hated my life because I was so just working at a job I not hated, but didn't enjoy.
So you closed that business. You both closed it.
I sold it. So my ex and I broke up. It was a very toxic relationship and we were working together. So we were together 24 hours a day. It was really difficult. So we broke up and I sold my share of the restaurant. He still has it. It's doing really well. He has about 10 restaurants now, I think.
Oh my goodness.
I sold my share. And then I got a lot of money and I spent about a year living the best life because I sold the restaurants for all this money and I was just traveling. I was going on so many trips. I was paying for my friends to come on trips with me. I was shopping. I was living in this really cool, like bachelorette apartment, eating at all nice restaurants all the time. It was the best life until I met my husband. And then we moved and I stopped the partying and the and the rest and the traveling.
During that period that you were enjoying your life a lot, were you working?
No.
Okay. For how long?
I wasn't working for, I think, like 8 months.
You were,
and then I went, sorry.
You were using the money you got with the business.
Yeah. And then I went back to finance because I didn't want to use all the money, right? Like, I wanted to invest the money again and have another business. So then I went back to finance, to, a quiet, easy job that had good pay. And then I started working on my projects again. And then I started a real estate app. So I invested the rest of the money from the restaurants into a real estate app that I was working on while working in finance again.
How did it work, your app?
Not really. I take responsibility for it. I worked on it for 4 years. I had a business partner. I invested all of the rest of my money into it. But we launched during COVID. and we really struggled to get, it was a marketplace, so we needed tenants and landlords, and we got a lot of tenants, but we never got any landlords. So it just kind of fizzled. And because I had a business partner, I was putting a lot of blame onto her. And, you know, I was saying she wasn't working hard enough. She didn't care about it. And so I stopped working on it. And ultimately, I realized that if I wanted it to work, I could have made it work, but I was too busy blaming her. Yeah.
So, but you were in Brazil at that time.
So I was still in Australia, but I had met my husband, who's Brazilian, and I got pregnant. We had our first daughter, and it was lockdown, right? So my daughter was born right before lockdown. So we spent 1 year at home. I was on maternity leave, so I was being paid to be at home for a year. And then I went back to work, but I was working from home because it was COVID. So I was working for 1 week, and then 3 weeks I was not really working. So I started on my projects again. So I was working on the real estate app. And then I got pregnant a second time, and we decided, when the baby was born, we decided to go visit both of our families. So we'd go to Brazil and to the UK, because our families didn't meet the first baby and we were already having a second baby because of lockdown. Like Australia, as soon as COVID started, Australia locked the airports. Nobody was allowed in or out. So we had to wait in Australia for 2 years till they opened the airports. So my baby was 2, and then the other one had just been born. So our plan was to move to the UK. So we shipped all of our belongings to the UK. The dogs, so I shipped my dogs to the UK. We applied for the visa, and then we left Australia to go to Brazil first, and then we would go move to the UK. So we went to Brazil, and then the visa should take 2 weeks, but it took 6 months. So we got stuck in Brazil for 6 months with no jobs, right? We didn't have any jobs. So we ended up spending all the rest of my money because we were trapped in Brazil for 6 months. So we spent all the rest of the money from the restaurants, and then the visa was denied.
No.
Yeah. So all our stuff was in the UK, the dogs were in the UK, and we were stuck in Brazil.
Is that possible? Because you are from England, right? And they denied the visa. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it sucked, and it was a technicality. So, I mean, it was my fault. So we had to have a certain amount of savings in one bank account, and it must be in the bank account for 6 months. But I didn't have an English bank account, and my savings were with my mother. So I had some savings in the UK, but my mom had them. She was looking after them for me because I didn't have a bank account there. And also, if I look after my own savings, I just spend the money. She had it, so I couldn't spend it really. So when we proved our savings, the bank account was not in my name, it was in her name. And she wrote a letter and stuff, but they were just like, no, it has to be in your name.
Oh my goodness. That
Yeah.
happened when? When did it happen?
That happened last year. So then we decided we'll go to the UK anyway, because we already had paid for our flights, because we thought we were going. I had just been moving the flights. Every time the visa didn't come, I just moved them. So in the end, and you have to pay every time you move the flights. So in the end, I paid so much for these flights. I was like, okay, we're just going to go. So we just went for a holiday. We went for 3 months. We stayed with my mom. We had Christmas there. We met all my friends, spent time with the family, and then we just came back to Brazil. So we came back almost 1 year ago.
Okay, I suppose it was. Uh, oh my goodness, that was my. I was curious about that because you are from England and you're in Brazil, which Brazil is nice as every country in Latin America. I know, but probably you would be better. I don't know better, but if I would choose England to Brazil in order to raise children, could be, I think, could be better to be in England. I don't know. It's a general thinking, okay. But
That's what I thought initially. Like better schools, better sort of structure. But now I know Brazil is definitely better because my husband has a very large family and they're all in the same city. So there's like 200 family members here. My family is my mom and my sister. That's it. My mom, my sister. In England, we don't spend time with our family. Like my aunt lives 3 hours away. My uncle lives 4 hours away. We don't see them. Whereas here, everybody's together. They hang out every weekend, everyone together. And the way the family are with kids here, they want them, they want to spend time with them. They want to take them out to parties, to playgrounds. In the UK, like sometimes it was I asked my mom to babysit one time and she got quite stressed out about it. My sister had to come over to help her, and then I didn't want to ask again.
yeah.
Whereas here, people are knocking on our door like, give me your kids.
Now it's my
And
turn.
the kids love that.
Yeah.
So it's better. And also there's a cost of living crisis, right? The things are very expensive in the UK. Rent is very expensive. It's difficult to find a rental. Electricity is phenomenally expensive there. Food is expensive. People are really struggling. In Brazil, everything is just as it's always been. There's no crisis here. It's just life. And especially because I earn in US dollars or Australian dollars, it goes a really long way in Brazil. So I can make, like, for example, if I were to make £50 from a call in the UK, that would buy maybe 2-3 days worth of food. Here, it will buy 2 weeks worth of food,
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to earn money in Brazil if you have a regular Brazilian job. But if you can work online, it's really great to be here.
Yes. I think many people from Europe and from the United States are coming to our countries like Latin America and South America and Mexico as well. And they notice that difference and they decide to stay here. And I think that is the same thing that happened to me. I am from Peru, but now I am living in Mexico. Mexico has, I, I don't know, they are friendlier. They are very warm people, and
Yeah.
they are like they are more free. We in Peru, we are like I don't know, we are more serious. It's different, but living here in Mexico is like great. And as you mentioned, the thing with families that when I feel like I am adopted here by a group of women who are older than me, but they are so loving. I love them, and that's
Yeah.
Eleanor. So you decided to stay in Brazil.
Yeah, for a few years, and then we see what happens.
Yeah,
I want to move to the US. That's my next dream.
really? Why?
I've always wanted to move to the US. It's my life dream. That's the only thing I ever wanted.
But what do you like about that country?
It's, to be honest, it's not about what I like. It's deeper than that. It's something inside of me. It pulls me there. Whenever I go for a trip, and I try to go often, like I used to go once or twice a year, I feel like the plane lands and I feel like I'm home. Like it's not a logical thing. It's a feeling, you know. Like I remember before when you told me about you living in Mexico, and you said the same thing, right? You just felt at home there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps even talking about it.
You know that when I go back to Peru, I cannot eat the food. Everything is like
Really?
nothing is good for my stomach. But I come back to Mexico and I can eat everything. There's no problem.
Oh, Mexican food is the best.
I think so. I agree.
I cook Mexican food a lot.
Okay, Eleanor. So now, tell me your experience in phase two. I suppose before phase two, you were doing other things, right? Because we don't get into this place like we had a journey before, right? We meditated, made many, how do you say this?
Manifesting.
Manifesting, but any other things.
Yeah.
It seems that it didn't work out. And finally, in my case, I found phase two, and I think this is different, completely different to the other things I was doing. And it's like, yes, this is the answer. You know,
Uh-huh.
so how did you get to phase two, Eleanor?
It was an interesting journey as well. So I talk about this in my book that I just released in Quantum Parenting, because I feel like I've always been in phase two. And I think I got that from my father. So my father money was never a thing for him. He was all about experiences, and he encouraged me and my sister to really prioritize having experiences and feelings, right? So throughout my life,
Can you tell me an example?
sorry. So, well, I mean, the backpacking, for example, like any normal parent would have said, you're crazy. You can't leave the country with like no money, because I didn't save up, by yourself and just go. But my dad was like, yeah, that sounds like such a cool adventure. You should do that, you know? And for example, like when we were younger, he would always ask us, like, what do you want to do? Like, my parents divorced when I was 5, so we would just spend the weekends with him. And it would always be like, you tell me what you want to do. Let's go. Let's just have fun. Let's prioritize having fun. So every weekend we would go hiking. We would go camping. We would go build tree houses. We would go climb trees. We would, whatever we wanted to do, he would allow us to do that. You know, he really encouraged us to be in touch with our intuition. And he didn't teach us phase two, because he didn't know about phase two. That's just the way he was. He just wanted to have fun, live his life the best way he could. Don't worry about money. Like, if this costs this much, whatever, the money will come. Don't stress about it. Just prioritize having fun and living your best life. So that's how I was brought up. So my whole life, I've always made decisions in the spur of the moment. I get a feeling, I just go for it. I don't think about it. I don't tell myself I can't do it. I'm just like, I've got a feeling, I'm going, it's already done. And I've always lived this way. So I started my spiritual awakening, if we call it that, 4 years ago when lockdown started, when a bunch of other people started to wake up, I think, as well. And it started with a few self-help books. I was doing MLM at the time. So I was on maternity leave with my daughter. And I started MLM, which is like network marketing. It's the online businesses where you kind of try to convince your friends to come start a business and then you make money off their sales. And it was that got me into reading self-development books. And then I started spending more time on TikTok and seeing more spiritual stuff. And I've always meditated. I've meditated for about 20 years and done yoga and things like that. But I started to do more meditating every day. And then I found Andre when I was in the UK. So it was at the end of last year, just before Christmas. I found Andre on TikTok, which I know everybody else found Sam first, right? I found Andre first. And I was watching his videos, and same as you, just like, this makes sense, you know, because I never understood why we had to follow a process to do something. Right? You know, people are like, oh, if you want to manifest this, you need to write it down, put it, like, go burn it, and then state these affirmations. And I was like, that is absolute nonsense to me. I don't believe in that at all. So when I found Andre, that was like, you can have whatever you want. All you need to do is follow your intuition. There's no process. It's just you and yourself. I was like, yes, this is right. This feels right. And then Sam, a couple of months later, I watched all her stuff, all her YouTube videos. She had a lot of YouTube videos back then. And I went to join the community straight away. And then when I joined the community, I realized that Sam and Andre were together. Because then I joined the community from Sam, and then I saw Andre teach, and I was like, what the hell? I already follow this dude. Like, and yeah, I just dove in headfirst ever since.
Okay, and what was the biggest manifestation, action, thing that you saw before, after you joined the community or you get into phase 2?
Going to Hawaii was really the biggest thing for me, because I had a lot of obstacles. I did not have any money, because when we arrived in Brazil, I hadn't been able to work. I didn't have a visa. And my husband, he was working as an apprentice. So he was only being paid 700 real a month, which was like 10% of our rent. Like, it was nothing. And he was working every day. So I had no money. I had never left the kids before, not even for one single night. My son was still breastfeeding. His family did not want me to go. They were like really against it. Then both my kids got really sick and they were in hospital right before I needed to leave. Like, it was so hard. Mentally, like, my husband didn't want me to go either, because we have never been apart. We never spent a night apart since the day we met, ever. So he didn't want me to go. It was really far, like, it was far away. I had to take 5 flights to get there. It took 3 days to get there, just to get there, 3 days to get there, 3 days to get back. So it was a horrible journey. Like, everything's just so hard, but my mind was made up. I was going, you know, my intuition said I was going. I wasn't going to let anything stop me. And getting there, landing in Hawaii and learning everything that I learned there. So I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, right? Nothing felt good to me until I got to Hawaii, and I just got an inspired idea on like day 2, like I want to teach phase 2. And I got so many feelings just from even thinking that. And I was talking to the other girls there, and I was like, what do you think? Like, am I crazy? Like, what's Andre going to say? You know, the mind going. And they were like, it doesn't matter. You just talk to him. Just ask. Like, they could see how much I felt it. And so I went and spoke to Andre. He was like, yep, sure, go for it. I got my first client within like 2 hours. And that was it. And then I knew what I was supposed to be doing, and it had all been worth it. You know, it had all been worth it. I found my purpose.
So, when you were in Hawaii, what was your husband's reaction? What was he doing meanwhile? Was he calling to you? He was upset or something like that?
Yeah, it was bad. Like, he was calling me like multiple times per day, crying on the phone. Our relationship was not in a good place at that time because I had just left, right? He was not happy. Like, eventually he realized he must support me because I was going anyway, but it was reluctant support, you know. I had forced him into it. So we were arguing a lot on the phone, and the kids were really sick, you know. He was having to give them medicine every day, and he struggled. So eventually he just kind of gave the kids to their grandparents and just kind of left them there. And he sort of just stayed at home, which I had a lot of feelings about, because I had really wanted him to take this opportunity to bond with the kids and, you know, look after them and stuff. So I was a bit upset that he had just given them to his mom to look after. And there was a lot of resentment on both sides. So it was incredibly difficult. And even after we got back, it probably took about a month, because I was changed when I got back. You know, I was a new person, and he was the same. He was just like, where has my wife gone? You know, and I was just like, no, I'm on a mission now. I'm a coach now. Like, I'm doing this now. You know, I don't care about money. I don't care about whatever. I'm on my mission. And it took him a little while to get on board. But then, and I realized I was complaining about him a lot in the community, complaining about him all the time, writing posts every day. Like, my husband's lazy. My husband doesn't do anything. And one day, Andre messaged me like, what is wrong with you? Like, you did so much good work in Hawaii, and now you're just undoing it all by complaining all the time. And he caught me. I didn't catch myself. He called me out, and I was like, okay, no more complaining. That's it. I'm not complaining anymore. So I stopped complaining. And 2 days later, we had our car bashed. And ordinarily, my husband, who is was very emotional, ordinarily he would have had a big reaction, probably would have got into a fight with the guy, and it could have been really bad. But he chose not to. He chose to remain calm. And from that moment, he has been a completely different person. He's been like looking after the kids, getting up early in the morning, like making their food, doing the washing up, doing the laundry. He's helping me with my businesses. He's trying to start his own business. Everything just changed. So that's another one. Hawaii was a big one, but also deciding to stop complaining about my husband was another really big one as well, because now our relationship is the best it's been. So when I went to Las Vegas last week, he was so supportive. Like, I missed him so much, whereas in Hawaii, I did not miss him at all. It's like we just met again.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, because I stopped complaining. That's it.
And obviously, it is what we learn here is that the journey is not about money, right? I mean, your life has completely changed, but it's not the fact that you have millions now in your bank account. It's like you are aware of something else, right?
Yeah,
Something
I
that
don't need millions. I became aware that I don't need money to have my dream life. Everything that I need just comes to me.
how for many people, including me, that part is difficult. Like being sure that everything is going to be okay with money. I mean, now I want to go to Scotland, which
Yes.
the first moment Andrea mentioned Scotland, I said, that's my trip. I, I, I am there, but it was like 3 months ago. He mentioned that the first time, and now that it is real and he everything is arranged, I am like, how I'm going to pay it and where I'm going to stay and how everything, all the BS is on my mind now. But in that part, that's my question. How is it possible to let it go? To just do it with no worries.
So, okay. So I definitely struggled with this for a while because my husband quit his job at the gym. So I'm the only person at the moment that earns for our family. I have kids, right? Rent and school fees and car to pay for. So, and also I have a background in finance. So for 15 years, my job was to organize money, move money around, make money from money. And I have qualifications in organizing money, right? I used to spend a lot of time organizing money. And so it was a process. But when I saw what happened when I stopped complaining about my husband, a couple of weeks later, because I've not been like, if I don't have money, I don't let that stop me from doing something, right? I'm like, I'll pay the deposit, I'll figure the rest out later. And then in my mind, I'm like, okay, so I can do this and I can move this money to here and then I can try and earn some money this way, right? So I was never afraid of not being able to pay for something. However, I would spend a lot of time and energy organizing it in my head. So I knew I had to drop that part and stop organizing in my head. So I just stopped. Like, there's no better way to explain it. Like, the same way I stopped complaining about my husband, I stopped organizing money in my head. And I just...
But, well, are you going to go to Scotland?
I don't know. Like, my intuition is not all in. Like, for Vegas, my intuition was like, yes, you're in, you must go. I had all the feelings. So I said so Andre is asking specifically, are you going to go? And I said, I want to go, but my intuition's not giving me anything. And then he directed me to watch a video that's about, you don't have to have permission from your intuition. And so today's the last day we can pay the reduced deposit, right? And I have the money. I have the money to pay for it, because yesterday I decided to make money. I made money. So I had $0 in my bank account. No, I had $4 in my bank account yesterday morning. Yesterday, after posting the community about having $4, I decided I would make money today. I ended up making, I think it was about $3,400. And so now I can go. And I've got to decide today. And I was talking to my husband earlier, because he would go as well, right? Because he doesn't need a visa for Scotland. So he's allowed to come with me. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I want to go, but my intuition's just not that into it.
So yeah, I think we have to feel that, right? As I told you, when I heard Scotland, it's me, it's mine. But my question was to ask you, when you went to Las Vegas, I suppose you had to organize the numbers, the money in your mind, or you didn't?
No, I didn't. Not at all. So I didn't have the money to go. I spent all the money that I would use to go, I spent on trying to get a visa for my husband. And it just kept getting denied. So like, I was spending it on lawyers and visa applications. And then, so I booked my flights only a week before, and I have a property in London, the one I bought right before I left. So I usually keep £1,000 in my UK account, because the mortgage comes out and then 1 week later the rent goes in. So I need to have £1,000 in there for the mortgage to come out. So I used that money 2 weeks before I would have to pay the mortgage. I used the mortgage money to book the flights. It was the exact amount. I had £1.65 left. And I used that money to book the flights. And then, so, okay, it all worked out. I managed to make the money back from coaching calls. So I got the money back for my mortgage, but then I didn't have any spending money at all. Nothing. Well, I know I had 67 Australian dollars. I had $67 left in my account. So I just went thinking, fuck it, it's going to be fine. Maybe I'll make money at the retreat. And it was until I missed my connection, and then I got stuck in Miami airport and I didn't have money to buy food. Well, it was perfect. It was perfect. So I missed my connection. It was entirely my own fault. I was walking too slowly in the wrong direction because I was on the phone, not thinking. I missed the connection. They said, no worries, we'll put you on the next flight, which is tomorrow. So I had to wait 24 hours. And I was like, okay, fine. I'm sitting in the airport for 24 hours. It is what it is. And then as I was sat there, someone from phase 2 reached out because I posted in the community. And he was like, why don't you just get an earlier flight? And I was like, I can't. I've got no money. And he's like, I'll get one for you. So he got me an earlier flight. He sent me more money for food. He's like, do you have food money? I was like, no. He's like, okay, I'm just going to send you another $50. And it was perfect. I didn't do anything. It just happened, you know.
And were you in an Airbnb?
Yeah. So, so I came to an agreement with Andre about like staying at the retreat, and a trade. I did a trade with him because I couldn't afford to pay. So I did a trade.
But you paid for the retreat?
No, I did a trade.
Okay, Eleanor. Yeah. Well, this is so amazing to know this kind of experiences, because it's like we are just used to hear stories like, no, you can do it if you don't have money. First, you have to get the money, and then you can do whatever you want. And I'm going to teach you how to make money first, etc. But hearing your stories about money is like, where was I living? Because for me, it was so difficult to create money. And you mentioned something. You decided to have money. How is that?
I decided to make money yesterday. So I had $4 in my bank account when I left for Vegas. Well, and the six, because I've got so many bank accounts. I had $4 in one bank account, 67 in the other, which I spent on food. Actually, I had to pay for my baggage in the end. But anyway, so I hadn't made any money in 2 weeks, and I was completely being supported by the universe, right? Like, family members were bringing over leftover food, and what else happened? Like, something else. Oh yeah, and we're moving to my dream house next week or in a week, and it's amazing. It's cheaper than where I live now, but it's like much newer. It's got aircon. Anyway, so we went there because the lady, she's moving to a smaller place, so she wanted to get rid of her furniture. And she's got 2 kids, a girl and a boy, and she wanted to donate some of their toys to us so she wouldn't have to take them. So we went there and we just got all this stuff, like literally 100 toys, all these fancy dress outfits, bed sheets, towels, pots and pans and plates and cups for the kitchen, furniture like dining room table, a sofa, a bed, bedside tables. And we were just like, we'll take this and this. And she just wanted to get rid of it all. And so I don't have money in my bank account, but I'm being provided for, you know? And then yesterday I did the post. Yesterday I did the post in the community saying about how I had no money, or how I had $4 and I was being supported by the universe. And then after that post, I was like, okay, I'm going to change this now. Like, I've had enough of having no money, and I've got bills to pay, like my kids' school fees are due and whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make some money now. So I sat with my intuition. I set the intention. I sat with my intuition. I said, I requested $2,500, which would be enough to pay the bills that are due at the moment. And I was like, okay. So then I just followed my intuition in the day, and I did some like income producing activity. So I had written my book, Quantum Parenting, but I hadn't done anything with it. I sent it to Andre a while back. I was like, do you want to like have any input to this, whatever? Because we're kind of doing it as a collab, and he hadn't sent it back to me. So I like chased him up and I was like, can you read this? Like, I want to get it published. So I published the book. I made some book sales. Then my intuition had me, it was my son's birthday yesterday. So most of what my intuition had me do was hanging out with my son. We had the school play. We went to see the school play. I made some coaching content when I got back. My intuition gave me ideas for coaching content. So I did that. I had a coaching call, so I got paid for the coaching call. And then the biggest one was, so I was managing a cleaning company in Australia, and that was my plan B, right? My backup plan. And I realized in Vegas that having a backup plan was stopping me from moving forward with what I wanted to do with my coaching. So I got rid of the backup plan, which was really scary because that was paying all of our bills. And And then when I got back, my boss was like, I'm not going to pay you for the last week of work because you were in Vegas. And I was like half of me was like, okay, fair enough. I was in Vegas, but my husband was doing the work for me because we kind of do it together. So the work was being done, just not by me. But he was very angry. He was like, you went to Vegas, you didn't ask me, you just left. And he's like, we haven't had any new clients for ages. You know, you're not working very hard. And he was right. I wasn't. Like, I passed it over to my husband. I was kind of, you know, in my mind, I'd moved on. But then yesterday, my intuition was like, okay, don't fight with him. Accept responsibility, you know, accept responsibility. So I sent him a voice note and I said, I accept responsibility. In my mind, I was already gone. I apologize. We found out the reason we weren't getting new clients is because of a problem with the website. So actually it wasn't because I wasn't working. It was the website had an issue. So I was like, you know, obviously we didn't have any jobs, but it's because nobody was able to book a job because of the website. But I still accept responsibility for it, right? Like, that was my job. I should have noticed that the website wasn't working, right? Like, it had been 2 weeks with no new clients. I should have checked that the website was working. I accept responsibility. And he just wrote back and was like, I appreciate that. I'm going to pay you for your last week. So I got the money for that as well. And yeah, so I got all the money that I requested.
But what do you do to request it? You just sit down and meditate. You ask for how long do you stay like that, or what sign do you
What's my
notice?
process?
Excuse me?
Are you asking me what the process is?
Yes, because I am here in phase 2 like 1 year almost. And it was it's a process, but at some point I say it doesn't have to be like this. Some always mention that you can change your life immediately. You don't need a process. And I am,
Yeah.
but at the same time, my life has changed completely. I am ashamed because I complain about some things, even when my life is great. You cannot imagine what things happened to me during this last 3 years here. The people I met, the women that are always around me, the place where I live is so beautiful, beautiful. The animals, even the animals. I didn't have any pets when I was a child, or never. And I appreciate them so much because sometimes I am alone and they come and it's like just to say hello, I'm here if you need something.
Yeah.
And the things I get from or they give me, my friends give me lots of things when I visit them. They are like, Vero, I have this for you. And this is for you. And this is for you. And yesterday we had a meeting because of Christmas. And the gift, my secret Santa, yeah, gave me is so beautiful. It's something I was asking for, and my life is great. And I don't know why I still have that fear of asking or assuming that I'm not going to be able to pay bills or, for example, this retreat. I am like worried about it, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. So that's the problem. That's why I'm asking you.
It's like you're halfway there, or maybe even 3/4 of the way there. Like, you're doing it with other stuff, right? You got the gift, something that you had been wanting. It's the same principle for everything. You've got the gift that you had been wanting without any effort from yourself. So the retreat, it's the same. You just have to let go of worrying about it. Like, whenever your mind starts to be like, oh, but how am I going to? No, stop. I don't need to think about it. It's not my responsibility. It's the universe's responsibility. I had to do this for Hawaii as well, because I didn't have I had paid for the retreat, but I hadn't paid for the flights. And I had no idea how I was going to get the money for the flights. And so I let go of it. I just let go. And then a week before, from my property in the UK, the managing agent sent me a letter. Oh, you overpaid on your account. You have a refund. And she didn't tell me how much it was. And then it just appeared in my bank account, and it was the exact amount I needed for the flights. No joke. And I had no idea. You have to let go, because I did a post about this recently. In your mind, like, when you have to pay for something, there's an action, right? There's something that you do that will get the money, whether it's having a coaching session with somebody, or selling a product, or doing some work for somebody, right? Whatever it is to get the income, you usually have to do something. Okay, so that's the step that you must take. All the other energy that you invest into it, all the stuff that you do in your head, all the worrying, all the asking yourself, how am I going to do this? All of the organization, all of the planning, none of that stuff is getting you the money. It's all in your head. It's not getting you the money. The only thing that gets you the money is that one action: picking up the phone, sending the email, publishing the post, having the call, whatever it is. That's what gets you the money. And so you can let go of all the stuff in your head. You can let go of the anxiety, the worry, the stress, because that is not getting you the money. And the action that you need to take to get it, that will be your intuition. Your intuition will be like, email the landlord, and the landlord emails back and says you overpaid. Not the landlord, the managing agent, or whatever it is. So when Andre did the challenge, who was it? No, Sam did the challenge about make $10,000 in a day. Did you see that challenge? So I said, okay, great, I'll do that. And I did it. I made 10,000 in a day. But it happened because I let go of it. I asked my intuition. My intuition showed me a picture in my head of Andre. So I opened the Circle app. And in the Circle app, Andre posted a challenge the same day as the day after Sam sent the email. Andre posted a challenge: make somebody an offer for $1,000. So I was like, okay. So I asked my intuition, who shall I make the offer to? My intuition showed me, the little pictures that we have on Circle. So it showed me the profile picture. So I messaged her and I was like, I'm going to offer you a 3-month coaching package for $1,000. And she was like, I was just about to message you to ask for a coaching call. So yes, I'll take it. And so she paid me for that. And the guy that beat up my car also gave me money to get the car fixed. And when I added that up, it was exactly 10,000 real. but I just let go of it. I wasn't trying to plan. I wasn't trying to organize. I just asked my intuition, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
Magic happened.
How did you ask your intuition? You just said, or what you do?
So, right, no, you're not going to be in the podcast. You can't talk. So what I do is I sit on the bed. I usually lay down on the bed, and then I like just get into my body. I can usually like summon energy quite quickly in my body, so I can feel energy. And because I've meditated for a long time, I can get to that place, you know, that place where you're like not asleep, not awake, but not in your body either. So I get there, and then I say to my intuition, like, I intend to make $1,000 today, whatever it is. What shall I do? And a lot of the time I don't get anything, so I just lay there. Sometimes I fall asleep. Sometimes I concentrate on my breath. But then throughout the day or later, after I've sat there doing nothing for a while, I'll just get like an idea, you know, like an image or an idea, and then I'll go do that.
That happens to me, and I am realizing recently that happens to me when I wake up. When I wake up, suddenly I have an idea, like, you should call this person, or a person comes to my mind, and I didn't pay much attention to that, and I say, why did I think about it? Right? But I think that's my intuition answering me.
For sure. So, you know, when you meditate, your brain, when you meditate, your brain goes into beta. It slows down. So when you wake up, for that first 5 minutes, if you stay in bed, your brain's already there. So you don't need to go through the whole process of meditating. Stop. Just you don't have to go through that whole process to get yourself to that level, because you're already there. So that's the best time for your intuition to talk to you. And most people use that time to stress out about their day, right? They're like, oh, I've got to do this today. And then they open their phone and they get emails they don't want to read, and they see social media posts they don't want to see. And they start their day by allowing all of that outside nonsense into their special, like, connection time. But if you can just lay there for 5 minutes quietly, feel the energy in your body, then it's the perfect time to get inspired and have your intuition talk to you. Not talk to you, but communicate with you.
Yeah. I have to do that, because that's like the first thing I do is take my phone and check my whatever is it.
No. Naughty. Don't do that.
Eleanor, you have also opened a platform where you give lessons, something like that?
Yes, I just started it before Las Vegas. So I have a platform called Universal. And yeah, so what I want to do is I have free content there that's from different coaches, and it's not phase 2, but it's phase 2 aligned, right? So I have a breath master there. I have a couple of phase 2 coaches, but I also have like a leadership coach from the phase 2 community. So she teaches leadership in a phase 2 way. So like everybody there is familiar with phase 2, but they're not necessarily teaching phase 2. Maria Luz is in there coaching. Anna Carolina Samantha is in there. And so everybody puts up their own coaching content for free for anybody to access for free. And then if you want a coaching session with any of the coaches, you can reach out to each coach and have a paid coaching session. So I'm so excited. Like I set this community up 4 months ago, and it's just been sat doing nothing. And finally, right before Las Vegas, my intuition was like, go, you got to do this now. So I'm doing it. So
and apart from that, you give coaching, right?
yes, so I do like phase 2 coaching. At the moment, I just teach within the phase 2 community, but I want to expand. I want to bring phase 2 thinking to everybody, right? Like, I think everybody should live this way. Imagine how good the world would be if every single person was just doing the thing they love, because they would do it so well. They would love their lives. They would be so happy, and the world would just be an amazing place, right? I think the world sucks a lot of the time because people are unhappy because they do stuff they don't want to do. People go to jobs they don't want to work. They're worried about money. They're stressing, and they don't have to do that. And I want to bring this thinking to everybody, and I want everybody to be able to access it for free, or to have a coach help them. You know, if they're willing to invest in themselves and change their lives quickly, and, you know, have that mirror, have that accountability buddy, then, you know, I want to give them the opportunity to do that. But I also want people to be able to access it for free.
I think people who are looking for this kind of content, right? They are trying to change their lives, doing other stuff. They need to know about it, because it's not as difficult as other methods. And it's like we have all the information inside. You don't need all that stuff outside.
Well, not everybody wants to be, right? Not everybody wants to be in phase 2, and that's fine. You know, that's fine. They live their lives. I believe in reincarnation. I believe at some point they will come back to Earth and they will want to be in phase 2, but it's not their time yet, and that's okay. But from what you're saying about your landlady, that she's a reflection of you, and so you're seeing her as this person. You're seeing her as somebody that complains and is never happy, but that's just your interpretation of her. And then you caught yourself, right? Like, she's happy the way she is. The only person that's not happy about her unhappiness is you, right?
You're right. I am judging her. Eleanor.
Yeah, you're putting your views onto her. Like, she's not happy by your standards.
Exactly.
And I think that comes up because, you know, how people often say, oh, you know, everybody can't be wealthy. What about like the people in the favelas and in the slums in India, and you know, the really poor people, the homeless people, whatever. Not everybody can be wealthy, and wealth is different to every person, right? And so what's that book called? There's a really famous book about a guy from Australia that goes to India and he starts living in the slums there. I can't remember what it's called, but poor people that we see as poor, they have their own hierarchies of wealth, you know, and they may feel wealthy within their circumstances or compared to their peers. Like, who are we to say that they're in poverty when they feel wealthy? It's a feeling. Wealthy is a feeling. I was actually in an argument today on my TikTok with somebody about wealth, because he had seen my post about only having $4 in my bank account, and I'd done a TikTok about being wealthy. And so he was arguing with me, you're not wealthy, you're in poverty, you've only got $4. And I was like, no, I'm wealthy because I can make money whenever I want to make money. The universe provides everything that I need. I travel, I live in a big house, like my kids have food and clothes and love. and I'm in a loving relationship and I have a business that's going to transform the world. I do what I enjoy every day. I am wealthy. And then I compared that to when I had my restaurants and I had a lot of cash and I had my Porsche and I had my designer clothes and I hated my life every single day. And so by his definition, I was wealthy then because I had a lot of cash in the bank. But by my definition, I was not, because I was unhappy every day and I felt the opposite of wealthy, unwealthy. Yeah.
Yes, you are right. You mentioned a book, Eleanor.
Yeah, what's that book called? Let me find it.
No.
Ash.
That you wrote a book.
Oh yes, quantum parenting. What I want to achieve with the book is helping people live limitless lives themselves, but also bring their kids up to listen to their intuition and not be trapped by the stories that they tell themselves, right? Because our problem right now is that we have to unlearn everything that we thought to be true. We have to unlearn that money is hard to make and we have to organize it. If we can bring our kids up knowing that they will be supported by the universe and they don't have to worry about money, like we have a whole generation of people that can change the world and make it better by teaching these concepts.
And in order to that idea, what do you do with your kids to keep these ideas from them?
So I encourage them to listen to their intuition is one of the main things. So when we have a couple of hours or whatever in the mornings, I'll say, like, let's take a few breaths, let's get a little bit quiet. And then I want you to tell me like the first thing that pops into your head that you want to do. And then we go do that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not like really hard to do. But usually it's painting or drawing or playing princesses, you know. And I also I have a conscious effort never to say to them, we can't afford to do that, right? Like that's a phrase I try never to use. It's always, okay, so we want to do that. That's going to cost some money. How are we going to get that money? And my kids are only 2 and 4, right? So they're still young. So they come up with some funny ideas about how we're going to get money. It's like, okay, well, let's go get grandma's purse and get some money or whatever. But I'm just trying to instill that idea, you know, from an early age, that if you want to do something that requires money, okay, let's go get the money to do that. And then the other thing is letting them feel their feelings. So as parents, we often want to stop our kids from feeling their feelings, especially if it's awkward, if we're in public and they're being loud, for example. Me and my husband butt heads about this. But if my kids want to have a tantrum in a supermarket, I will just let them have the tantrum. Yeah, like I do not care if people are staring. I do not care. And my husband hates it. So now we have an agreement where we'll take the kids outside of the store to have their tantrum if we're inside. That's our compromise, because for me, I would just let them do it there. I don't care. But he knows everybody in this city and he's like, they're all looking at me, they're all saying I'm a bad parent, whatever. So the compromise is we take them outside. But I try to always let them feel their feelings, you know. I don't tell them stop crying now or, you know, it's all going to be okay. I just let them get it out their system, however they want to do that.
And what difference do you see in them doing these actions?
I don't know, because I'm not around other kids at the moment. Like in Australia, I had a lot of mom friends with kids, but here I don't. So I don't know. I don't really know how other kids are. If you ask my husband, he would say that ours are very badly behaved because they're always being loud in public. I don't think so. Like I see other kids having tantrums in public. So yeah, I don't know. I think that they're too young. They're too young for me to know yet. I'll get back to you in like 10 years.
But there must be a difference in this period as your partner, as your husband had that change. Was it something like that with your kids?
No, it wasn't obvious like that because I've always parented them this way, but they changed a lot when my husband changed. So there was a big difference when my husband changed. The kids, they got better behaved, less crying, like they wanted to spend more time with him, whereas before they always just wanted me. And yeah, just like better behaved, not so crazy all the time. Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't publish your book yet.
Yes, yesterday. I did it yesterday.
Yesterday? Okay, where is it? In Amazon?
It's on Gumroad. It's on Gumroad, yeah.
I don't...
Gumroad, it's the same platform where Sam and Andre sell their books, you know, the Quantum Wealth and Quantum Cash. It's the same platform. Yeah, called Gumroad.
Okay, and tell me, what about your new house? You mentioned that.
I'm so excited. So we need to leave this place because it's getting sold, and we were really worried because we didn't have any money to pay for like a deposit for a new place, because you know you have to pay the deposit before you get the other one. We were looking at houses. We found one that was expensive. It had a pool, so I really wanted it. But my husband was like, it's more expensive than our place. Like, I don't think we should get it. We had a disagreement on that. He found a really cheap one that he wanted to move to. But I was like, no, like it was in a dangerous area. He's like, you wouldn't be able to walk outside. And I was like, I go walking every day. Like I walk the dogs, I walk out with the kids. Like I don't want to live somewhere I can't walk outside. And we only have one car. So I was just like, no. So we were like, okay, let's just stop. So we stopped looking. And a week after we stopped looking, my husband's mum called and said, oh, there's a house. It's not on the market yet. Because we live in a small city, so there were only like 3 or 4 houses that were 3 bedrooms available for rent in the whole city, and I kind of said no to them all. And I don't want an apartment. So most people live in apartments. There were only like 4 houses, and I was like, no apartments, and also no to all those houses, except the expensive one. And then my husband's mum called and she said, it's my husband's father's cousin's daughter, right, is moving out. They have a really cool house. It's located right in the middle of the city. It's not on the market yet. Lots of people already want it, but if you want it, we'll get your father to put in a good word with his cousin. So we did that. The house was perfect. It came with like some furniture, all the toys and stuff. And we didn't have to pay a deposit because it's my husband's father's cousin.
Okay, and when are you moving?
In about a week. They're going to paint. So the lady's moving out tomorrow, then they're going to paint it, and then we're moving about a week, I think, just before Christmas.
But you are going to pay a rent?
Yeah, we'll pay rent. We just didn't have to pay for a deposit. But it's less than where I am now.
Really? Oh my goodness. Well, I think we had a long time together. Oh my goodness. It was great, Eleanor, to have you here. Thank you for accepting my invitation. It was great to talk to you. And I don't know if you want to say anything else, because I know you are going to be with your kids.
No, that's it. Like, I really, really enjoyed the chat, and let me know if because I saw you put some of these up on social. So let me share them as well. I'd like to share as well on my socials.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you for the opportunity.
See you soon. Don't stop.
See you soon.
See you.
Bye bye.